My name is Terry Lynch. I'm with Oregon Ufology. I found myself searching for a passageway one day. And that passageway leads right across the complete section of the Cascades, which I'm sitting in front of at the moment. On top of my peak. I want to make sure that everybody sees the type of things that we find in the process of research for ufology. I have located a couple that's sitting here on the top of Blind Peak. She's facing south. He's looking north.
The Middle, Cascadia Guides, a Let's production, in conjunction with Alien Strand Films.
Alien Strand Podcast.
Up until 1928, Antarctica was an unexplored region which human feet had never walked upon. That changed when Richard Byrd had made its first exploration campaign from 1928 until 1930.
Antarctica is a continent that is devoid of human life. Aside from explorers and researchers, no one has ever dared to live in this unforgiving land. The frozen continent makes up most of the region, the remote place located in the southern hemisphere. It's the fifth largest continent in terms of total area, but aside from ice and creatures that somehow manage to withstand the almost uninhabitable environment, there's nothing else in its vicinity. However, it also hides some pretty amazing things.
Antarctica is the last frontier. It holds our imagination. Old maps that said, "Here be monsters." The last remaining territory on the planet that could have such a designation is Antarctica.
Alien Strand Podcast.
Hi, this is Kelly Green with Realty Executives, Coastal Bend in Corpus Christi, Texas. And you're listening to the Alien Strand podcast with Donald Ledesma. Buying or selling, visit me at kellygreenrealtor.com or visit me on my Facebook page, Kelly Green Realtor. See you there.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. It's going to be an interesting one today, that's for sure. But before we get going, I want to just let everybody know that we are still doing Alien Strand Podcast here on 26, 27 platforms. Yeah, we're still growing day by day, but we've been off for a little bit. You know, we're just trying to catch up to a couple of things. I have another podcast as well. So, and then plus we're getting ready for the next film. So if you guys didn't hear it at the very beginning of this podcast, we have the trailer there for The Middle. If you guys haven't seen it, please go check it out. It's on Amazon Prime Video. It's on 9 other platforms. Those are actually subscribe platforms, and we have the price real low. It's like $2.99, real cheap. So that way, you guys can check it out. Don't have to go through commercials and stuff. But we do have one that's for free, and that's on Tubi TV. So if you go to Tubi TV, just about everybody has Tubi TV. You can go there, and then you can check out the movie The Middle. It'll have a lot of commercials, unfortunately, but you know, it's a give and take, whatever it is. But welcome everybody to Alien Strand Podcast. We haven't been out for a little bit. I hope you caught our prior episode, which was number 87. a friend or UFO. I start talking about, the UFOs that they had apparently blown out of the sky, where we're catching a lot of these balloons. Happened a few months back, okay? So it's been a few months since we've been out, but you know what? I really enjoy doing this kind of podcast. I love ufology. I love everything that there is about ufology. And if you're brand new to ufology, well, welcome. Welcome to ufology. This is where it's at. This is where you learn everything about UFOs and about stories and stuff. So if you guys don't know what Alien Strand podcast is, I tell a lot of stories of the past, present, and whatever's going to happen. I can't do the future thing because I'm not a fortune teller, right? So, but it's like a newscaster thing here. We try to get out all the information as much as we can of what's happening. Now, if you guys want to, you can follow us on Facebook. We have over 11,700 followers there on that page. So we post stuff daily on that one. So that way you guys can see what's going on around the internet. It's all the new UFO footage. Everything that comes out, we post it. We just throw it out there. Okay, so not all of it might be real. Some of it might not. But like I always say, it's always up to you to decide if it's real, right? So that's up to you. So just check out our videos there. Leave a comment. Please share our pages there on Facebook. I think we're on Twitter, Instagram. We're everywhere. So, you can just Google Alien Strand and it will pop up everywhere, all our podcasts. But thank you guys for checking, here today. We always have a lot of news, a lot of things that are happening. There's been a lot more crafts in the sky that a lot of us are starting to catch now. Now our cell phones, of course, are getting better. Our video cameras are getting so much better now that, you can actually zoom in and the crop factor is not so bad, but, it still pixelates. But we're able to catch a better image of UFOs. Now, does that make it even better? Maybe. Sometimes or sometimes not. The only reason I say that is because, there's too much Photoshop out there, way too much Photoshop out there. And so when we see something as clear as we do as an image, we tend to think of it as being Photoshopped. You never know. It could be real. A lot of times they throw off this electronic magnetic field, right? If it's real, and you'll see it in the actual image or in the video. If you slow it down, you can actually see that field around that craft. So if you're, like I said, if you're new to ufology, welcome to ufology. But that's a great way to know whether a UFO is real. Now, a lot of times when you crop in and you use your analyzation techniques, right, on your phone. In other words, like these apps that you can change the colors and use false colors, things like that. You're able to see these things more. Now, in order to spot a fake, most of the time, that when you zoom into it, the lines will be extremely too straight, like it's cropped out, it's cut out. You know what I mean? A lot of people in Photoshop are real good at this, but they always screw up. So you really have to zoom in really good. Use a lot of analyzation, the apps that you can get as far as cameras, photography. Kind of download them on your phone. Believe me, you can find heat sources, things like that. Those are ways to get a better picture, right? That's what they always say. Get a better picture. So if you are seeing those things, please share them. Share them around the world. Share them with every group you can. There's groups out there that don't like it. They'll throw your stuff to the side. But just remember, at Alien Strand, we don't do that. And we have another group called Alien Strand Disclosure Project, right? So that group was made by Terry Lynch and myself. Terry Lynch is in our film The Middle, so if you don't know who he is, check out the movie The Middle. You'll find out who he is. Now, we created this group for studying ufologists, and this is only for people that want to learn ufology or anything, or have to if you need somebody to analyze a lot of your photos, and if you're really deep into this, not a troll, please go to Alien Strand Disclosure Project and say, or go to my page or Terry Lynch's. We're administrators on that site. We'll get you in if you want to learn these things, okay? So, and we keep this all with ufologists, people that want to learn. Nobody trolls there at all. We don't allow any of that. So please be, if you guys want to learn, get on that app. It's great. They're on Facebook, all right? So today's podcast is going to be about Antarctica, right? That's a place that a lot of us don't really talk about too much, right? Why don't we talk about Antarctica? It's you see it on History Channel sometimes, on Ancient Aliens. You see it all over the place. They try to throw the information out there to you guys, but sometimes it just doesn't reach the audience that it needs to, right? So today I'm going to give you a lot of information on Antarctica, okay? And it's going to be something of a storyline as well, because this is a large desolate area that can be very extreme, for the human body, in other words. So sometimes you have to really research your stuff before you go explore, right? And exploring is the hardest part of finding things out, or finding out something that's like they say, desolate out there. Back in the day, they didn't have satellites, GPS and things. I'm talking like 1899, things like that. They didn't have any of that. So all they had was their airplanes. We had airplanes, we had ships, and we were able to go and, explore. And there was a lot of explorers out there. And these people went out there to find these continents, places that, the human being has not touched feet on. And a lot of them lost their lives because they were trying to, give us a lot of information. And so that way, if anybody ever went there again, they'd have it mapped out. They were able to document this, area. So today we're talking about Antarctica, which is our number 88, beneath Antarctica. So Antarctica is one of the least populated continents in the world, right? And it holds between 1,000 and 5,000 people, and this is seasonal. So during the winter months, there'll be like 1,000 people there on that whole continent. During the summer breaks, you'll have people up to 5,000 on there. And I'll explain a little more why these folks are there. So Antarctica is south of the Antarctic Circle. It's surrounded by the Southern Ocean and the Antarctic Ocean. And its mass is 5,500,000 square miles. So that's a large area there. It's on top of our globe. It's just you'd wonder why, this mass area is up there. It's frozen all the time, right? So it's 40% larger than Europe, okay? And it has an ice sheet thickness of 1.2 miles thick. Now, what we're seeing on the surface with our eyes, we think, it's got a little bit of snow on there or whatever. No, it's got 1.2 miles of thickness of ice before you even touch the land, the ground beneath it. So this is how thick that ice is that we just don't think about, right? And this is what I was talking about at the beginning of this podcast. We mention things that we don't think about. And it is one of the coldest and driest continents and one of the windiest continents. So just think about that just for a minute. Its lowest temperatures can reach 89.2 degrees Celsius, which is 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit negative. Okay, so that's how cold this place can get in the wintertime. So now you know why the survival rate out there is super low, because it's just too extreme for the human body. So coastal regions there in Antarctica, in other words, around the outside of the perimeter of the Antarctic, in the summertime, it gets up to 50 degrees. So this is where the people come in to go and be around that area because of the temperature change So during the summer, you'll have that 5,000 mark of people that are there. So the first expedition was in the 1820s by the Russians. All right. So Antarctica is governed by 30 countries as well. And this is why it's governed. So the parties in 1959 in the Antarctic Treaty System had a term limit, right? So this is what their terms are for these 30 countries. You can have no military activity there, no mining, no nuclear explosions, no nuclear waste disposal. Right? So this is what you can have there. Tourism, fishing, and research are the main activities around Antarctica. So this is why you see these bases out there that they're trying to explore, right? And they dig in the ice, trying to figure out exactly, all the elements that were there, a long time ago, years, thousands of years. They get the ice; it's frozen in time, literally, right? And this is why they do this. They're just trying to find answers. Of course, it's not melted or anything like that. So they have to kind of get all the DNA, everything that they can get out of the ice. So back then there was an unusual exploration, all right? So here's where we get into the beneath part. There's a gentleman, an admiral named Richard Byrd. And he flew missions there in Antarctica from 1939 through 1941. So you're looking at, 2.5 years maybe. So he was there to research and fly over places to find new plants, life, different species of animals, and etc., right? So they're there to explore and just to take note of everything that they're finding. This was what his job was, but he was a pilot, so he was able to fly over these places to get folks to where they needed to be. So he was also a part of an operation called High Jump, or Task Force 68. This was in August of 1946. This was later. So it went from 1946, Operation High Jump, all the way to 1947. So this Operation High Jump includes 4,700 men, 13 ships, and 33 aircraft. So this was a large operation that they had there, right? And there they were documenting everything. They were taking footage. They were taking film footage of the area, trying to get everything that they could on film, so that way they can explore and just find things that people had never seen before, of the ice, the sea life, everything that was there. That's what Operation High Jump was about. So they took a lot of course, military men out there so they can help explore and get it out there, right? So this was what they did, right? They had to do it that way. You needed all these people. They needed all these aircraft, 13 ships as well, 33 aircraft. That's a lot. So the story goes for Mr. Byrd, after he did all these missions and everything like that, he went to the military. He got, he was there for quite a while, flew many missions. Later in life, when he passed away, his son ended up finding a box with some of his memoirs in there. And when he looked through one of them, in particular, there was many, many of them. So when he looked through one of them and he started reading through it, he read a story that didn't make sense. It was strange that his father had written, right? Something that happened to him on one of these missions. So, this is one of the flight recordings that he found of his father. And I'm going to read you a little bit of it. So it says, February 19th, 1947, 0600 hours, flight check. 0800 hours, slight turbulence at 2321 feet. So I corrected it to 1700 feet. At 0910 hours, he starts to see different colors in the ice. He says it's reddish, purple colors. Couldn't believe what he was seeing, so he decided to circle around twice. Soon after that, his compass starts to spin and wobble. So at 0915, he starts seeing mountains in a distance. So you got to remember, he's flying over ice, nothing but ice, and then all of a sudden he starts seeing mountains. At 0949, he says, I'm 29 minutes of elapsed flight time. I had my first sighting of the mountains. Mountains that I've never seen before, he says. At 1000 hours, 2,900 feet, he says something definitely wrong. Starting to see a valley, green mountains, streams. I don't see snow anymore, but I do see forests. .05. I'm at 1,400 feet. So I move sharp left. He says, I see green moss. And the light seems different. I can't see the sun anymore. I see a large animal below. He says, it looks like an elephant. So he goes lower. He says, no, it's a mammoth. As he's reporting to the base radio. At 10:30 hours, he says, I'm entering green hills now. The temperature is 74 degrees. My navigational gauges are normal now. But my radio's not working. At 11:30, I spot a city below. He says, my aircraft doesn't seem right. It seems light for some reason. My controls are not responding. So he looks to his left. He says there's something closing in alongside of us. He says it's disc-shaped, but it has a radiant quality to them. At 11:35, his radio crackles, and a voice comes out. The engine stopped. The voice sounds like it's in Nordic with a German accent. Welcome, Admiral, to our domain. You're in good hands. At 11:40, another message. We are in the landing process now. You'll feel some light jolts, but we're going to bring you down to where we're at. At 11:45, he says, I'm making my last entry of flight log. He says several men are approaching the aircraft. He says they're tall, blonde hair, and I could see a city in the distance with rainbow shimmering colors. He says, but it's pulsating with hues. He says, I don't know what's about to happen now. I see no weapons on them. So I think everything's okay. He says, I hear a voice ordering me to open the cargo door. And I comply. End of log. So you gotta remember, he's in mid-flight when he first takes off. Sees nothing but ice. All of a sudden he starts seeing green. Flying down into a hole. Starts seeing streams, rivers, animals. And then something is flying next to him like a disc shape. So at that point, he ended up meeting these tall, blonde-haired men. There was one, I believe, called the Master. He had a long conversation with this being or this person, he says. They warned us about our nuclear bombs over Hiroshima, Japan. They were afraid for human destruction. They couldn't say if they promised anything if we would survive later in the future. He just says that they've been living down there in the inner earth, watching. They released them back after having these conversations with him. His crew navigator was like in a trance the whole time, but they were end up going inside this building, going up an elevator, going into this meeting room, had this meeting, turned around, went back into their airplane. They put them back in the air. and left them messages. He says, we allowed you to come here because we knew you were a man of integrity, a good man. By the time you knew it was 2:15. While they're in the air, a message comes out on the radio, says, we're leaving you now. You're free. He says at that moment the aircraft suddenly felt like it got caught in a sharp downfall at the moment. Quickly he recovered control. He says, we did not speak for some time. But each man had its thoughts. His entry on his flight log, he says, at 2:20 hours, we are over the vast areas of the ice and snow and approximately 27 minutes from base camp. He says, we radio them, they respond. We report all the conditions are normal. Normal, he says. Base camp expresses a relief at our re-established contact. At 300 hours, we land smoothly at base camp. I end my mission. That was his end log entry. But he does write, on March 11th, 1947, I have just attended a staff meeting at the Pentagon. I have stated my full discovery and the message from the Master. All is duly recorded. The President has been advised. And I have been detained for 6 hours, 39 minutes to be exact. I am interviewed intently by top security forces and a medical team. He says it was an ordeal. I am placed under strict control via national security provisions of this United States of America. Says I am ordered to remain silent in regard to all that I have learned on behalf of humanity. Says it's incredible. I'm reminded that I am a military man and I must obey orders. (30-12-56) final entry, he points. These last few years elapsed since 1947 have not been kind, he says. I now make my final entry in this singular diary. In closing, I must state that I am faithfully kept this matter secret as directed all these years. It has been completely against my values and moral right now. I seem to sense the long night coming, and a long secret will not die with me. But as all the truth shall, and it will triumph, and so it shall. This can be the hope, only hope for mankind. I have seen the truth as it is quickened. My spirit has been set free. I have done my duty towards my monstrous military-industrial complex. Now the long night begins to approach. But there shall be no end. just as the long night of the Arctic ends. The brilliant sunshine and the truth shall come again. And those who are in darkness shall fall in its light. For I have seen that land beyond the pole, and the center of great unknown. Admiral Richard E. Byrd, United States Navy, December 24th, 1956. So these are the entries that he made, and he vowed to keep that secret. Did this happen to this Admiral Byrd? Why was it buried all these years? In his diary, never told a soul. He couldn't. As we all know, back then the military complex was very brutal. I'm sure he was threatened at some point. He had family. What would you do? You know, there are many stories out there of things that lie beneath the Antarctic. Stories that we couldn't even imagine. But some people did go through something. Even the Russians did. In 1959, the Soviet expedition based a minor polar station in Antarctica, and they sent a group of 8 researchers deep into the uncharted continent. And they wanted to reach the South Magnetic Pole, right? But only 3 people returned from that dispatch group. According to an official version, the cause of the tragedy was severe frostburn and storms, as well as the terrain, vehicle, and engine failure. But later, there was a Soviet explorer, Yuri Korsnov. In a conversation with a reporter, explained that what had happened in the expedition at the polar station. He was with one of the participants who returned from that magnetic trip pole. He says, according to him, the group was attacked by luminous flying objects resembling discs, and we attempted to photograph an anomalous phenomenon which ended up poorly. He says our cameras were destroyed by a beam sent from this flying object. Those who tried to repel the attack using hunting rifles were also struck by these rays from that object and died. The reporter did not have time to publish the collected materials, as the sudden death of Yuri Korsnov prevented this. So these are stories, dark stories, that have happened there in Antarctica. Is there a hidden city underneath that ice? This would be like the perfect place for any extraterrestrial or unknown origin to live and to be, for the reason being that it is the least populated continent in the world, right? So less people means there's more freedom for them. If these crafts can withstand the heat of the inner earth, I'm sure the ice and the cold give it no problem. Do these stories give us a little bit more idea of what possibly could be down there? We've had stories of pyramids. Linda Howe gave a story of a military officer recently, in the past, 10, 15 years, gave a story of he saw something beneath the ice that looked like a giant entryway with walls with writing everywhere. Almost looked like it was made by giants, in a sense. Antarctica holds many secrets, and I believe this is why these countries made this treaty there, so nobody could go deeper inside of there. Did they find something in there? Did Richard Byrd give them an eye-opening experience? Apparently they knew about something to keep him quiet all those years. And I'm glad his son found the diary with the journal, flight logs. These are things we have to think about that nobody ever talks about because of the desolation there. The extremities for the human body because of the depths of the ocean, the coldness there. It's almost impossible for any human being to live there unless you're on the coastline. But even at that, there's less than 1,000 people in the wintertime. I believe we have to dig a little bit deeper. And hopefully, we get more folks to be able to tell the world exactly what's down there. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast, as I did. What an amazing story that it was. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys did as well. But if you like this podcast, please give us a thumbs up. If you can, go to our YouTube page there on Alien Strand. Subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. We're trying to get 1,000 subscribers there. If we do, we get to put on The Middle, our documentary, for free on there. But as for right now, you can watch it on Amazon Prime Video, Tubi TV, Hoopla, there, it's everywhere. So if you can, don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Alien Strand there on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Tumblr, Twitter. We're everywhere. And then we're on 26 platforms, right? Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Podbean, CastBox. We're all over. You can even ask Alexa. Yeah, she'll play some Alien Strand for you. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed today's podcast. It's been my pleasure to get this information out to you today, this story, and I hope to get some more out for you guys. Thank you for waiting. I really appreciate each and every one of you for being out there today. All right? But until then, you guys have yourselves a good day Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night.
Hi, this is Kelly Green with Realty Executives, Coastal Bend in Corpus Christi, Texas. And you're listening to the Alien Strand podcast with Donald Ledesma. Buying or selling, visit me at kellygreenrealtor.com or visit me on my Facebook page, Kelly Green Realtor. See you there.